How's everybody doing? Thank you all for coming in. Thank you. I see some faces here. I'll tell you a little bit about this guy a little later on. The body of work you see on the wall, well, let me start by this. You have some artists have one style and they work that style distinctly through their career. And then you have artists that are multiple style artists. And I am in that category. I was also classically trained as a graphic designer. Okay, so I learned how to do sign writing in high school. And back in the day before all the vinyl, we were painting the signs by hand, whether it be trucks, windows, billboards, whatever. So I had that skill set in high school. After I graduated from high school, I began to use many of the different techniques and mediums together to formulate the look that people associate with our work. I am not traditional by any stretch of the imagination. And that's worked for me and against me. But I will say over the years, we have a pretty broad demographic of people that are attracted to the work. I go through these different journeys. I would have probably been called ADD in school. So my attention span was always very, very short. That also plays into my work because I'll work on 10 pieces at a time and rotate to something else. I'm always kind of moving. As you can see by the size of that book, I've been moving a lot. This book represents only the reproduced works of my work. Only the pieces that have been published, only the pieces that are in the homes all over the country. And I really wanted to do that as a thank you to all the people who supported me. But also so you can kind of, see another side, because there's no way you could have seen everything. Right. At one point when Weisson was at his height, because he's gone through maybe, 3 iterations of this gallery? 4? Yeah. He's a veteran. And when I say he's a veteran, I say it all with love, because at one point there were literally 10 galleries in this area. And many of them didn't survive. And Weisson, I don't know how he did it, who he had to pay, who he had to kill. He navigated through that period, but I believe that the reason why he survived is because he's always kept this pulse on to people that support his business and his community. Some people are chasing money, some people are serving culture. And the ones that serve culture, they tend to hang around a little longer. And so it's been nice to see him do all of those journeys. Through a serious explosion that happened in the 80s. Most of you are aware of that explosion. This gentleman, he was definitely at the beginning of that explosion. There was a Good Times era. There was a Bill Cosby era. Those two things were the catalyst to a art explosion that many of us never coined a phrase for. At that time, you had Martin Honeywood from the Joyce Center and so many other artists that were displayed on those shows. But it birthed a multitude of venues, art shows all over the country. I'm talking about motorcades of artists going into the community to show their work, and millions of people buying art for the first time really in history. And that period lasted about 25 years before 9/11, the big implosion of the stock market, the housing market, and all that, which rebirthed another whole, I would say, trajectory of this business. So I don't want to get too much because me and Weisson will probably touch on some of that in our discussion, but that's where I come from. I came through at just the right time and I rode that wave. And it really gave me a chance to see some things all over the country of what was happening. It was really nice to see us who were starved for images that look like us. We were starved for anything that was a positive representation of who we are. And that's what that time frame represents. And to this day, it's gone through its ups, downs, implosions, but there's still a upward trajectory in what's happening with African American art because of what is supplied. And you guys are at the base of that, because it was the first time also that we were going into the community and you got to meet. You go to a museum, well, half of those people are dead anyway, so you ain't gonna meet them. And if they did something special, they were kind of behind the scenes. See, with this movement, it was all community, it was in your face, it was unavoidable. And it made us break down many walls that we had about art. And, we came up at a time where you weren't supposed to touch it. If it looked expensive, you're supposed to look at it. You have all these rules about how we were supposed to address art and aspects of art that we had to kind of relearn. And that period for me represents that relearning. We had many things stripped away from us when we got to this country. And to watch people striving to reconnect to that, I think was probably the most exciting thing I witnessed in this movie.